So our second speaker, the first time I met her, I was just amazed by her badass vibe, you know. So we met at a C-suite event. So it's all C-level women together, and she shared her ideas of being an investor. And her points, every single points, there's nothing that feels like it's just blank. Everything she said is like, I want to take notes. So that's why I want to bring her to our show to share her ideas, her career path, and her different roles of working at corporate as a leader and then being a really strong investor. So let's welcome Danye. I want her to introduce her name because she has a very specific way to say, her name.
Sure.
Oh,
yeah,
great.
absolutely. Maybe the first trick for everybody in the room. Have a very memorable way of introducing yourself. My name is Danye, in Chinese Wang Danye, but most Americans can't pronounce the name Danye. If they see the spelling, they don't know what it means. I introduce myself as Kanye with a D, and everybody knows Kanye West. Although now he kind of have a tricky reputation, but that always gets me a laugh and kind of become an icebreaker, and is always very memorable. And for people remembering names, that's actually very important for business.
Yeah, I love that intro. Yeah, that's why. Yeah.
And I'm so happy to get invited to your show. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the discussion.
Yeah, thank you. Welcome you to here.
Yeah.
And we will know you at a executive level in Wall Street industrial. And what do you think we have more opportunities now for women here?
Yeah. I grew up in China like everybody, most people in the room. I came to the US for college. I was lucky enough to got into Yale, but I graduated in 2008, and we all know what happened that year, the last financial crisis. So it wasn't very easy for me to get a job, even back in the days. A lot of networking, which we'll get into. I actually got the job in Boston for a bilingual career fair at the time, Japanese and English. And I actually didn't study Japanese by choice when I was in middle school back in China. I got selected into that class by lottery. That is maybe my second tip. Life is about connecting the dots when you look back. There's no experiences that's wasted. At some point, you will be able to triangulate your experiences and leverage. So I was able to tap into BlackRock and the whole asset management as an industry because I showed up. I took the opportunity to go to Boston, which at the time BlackRock did not recruit at Yale, and taking advantage of my, multilingual skills, and I was able to lend myself a client-facing role at BlackRock, managing a lot of international relationships. So for the first 4 years, I was mostly focusing on Asian institutional investors, but over time, it became a very global role. I launched BlackRock Educational Academy, which was a huge industry undertaking of institutional investor education and engagement program. And that brought me to many different places in the world. I was hosting a program in Hong Kong, Singapore, London of the world, outside of the US as well. And the other thing is, I guess, very related to our topic of being women and kind of diversity, minority professionals. I was very involved in that whole ecosystem at BlackRock. Although now Trump administration's basically ended all the DEI programs, but I was very involved in Women Initiative Network at BlackRock. I was a founding member of Multicultural Network at BlackRock. I was there for almost 10 years, so I had a tremendous run in corporate America. But I guess I always want to own something myself. I want to be an entrepreneur. I initially built a international talent career development platform called UniCareer. I left BlackRock to continue to run the business and raise the company to Series C, during which I had the opportunity to partially exit my equity. And for the past 4 or 5 years, I've been running my current firm called UniGlobe Capital, initially advising Asian-based managers on cross-border deals and international LP engagement, LP limited partners, which means basically investors on the institutional level. And more recently, I morphed the company into a multifamily office, OCIO, outsourced chief investment officer, basically representing some of the largest and emerging Asian families to better tap into global investments, especially in alternative asset classes.
So yeah, like in your industry, most I think most of the CEO are men. So, and the Asian woman and the minority female. So, what do you think? Like when you sit on the same table and discussing the trillions invest with them?
Yeah, I guess first of all, I never really view being the only woman or being the only Asian in the room is a disadvantage. I just don't look at it that way. If you're unique, you're more memorable, and you have important things to say, that's already an advantage. There's always two sides to a coin. Flip it where you can. Surprise them to the upside. Surprise them to the upside, especially when they're anticipating you to be small, you don't know what to say, you may not be prepared. Surprise them to the upside. But obviously that requires a lot of homework. You need to be really good at what you do. But you have the ability to flip the coin. And the second thing, I guess, between men and women is that, at least when I was at corporate America, given I was very involved in the whole movement of, I guess, Asian advocacy and female advocacy, they always say, men talk about potential, women talk about performance. What does that mean? So men will paint a big pie for you and start talking about what the future might look like. And women talk about what we achieved previously. There's a famous anecdote of a man applying for a job, and there were maybe 10 different criteria. And he checked, no offense to the men in the room, by the way, just kind of hear it anecdotally. And they checked 3 boxes out of the 10, and they'll be like, oh, I'm a perfect fit to the job. And when it comes to women, they might check 9 out of the 10, and they're still like, oh my God, I may not be a good fit. I'm still missing something. So this mentality of not being big enough, thinking I'm lacking, underestimating yourself is kind of common in women, maybe especially Asian women. So for the people in the room and people who are listening to this, I think there's a tremendous opportunity for us to flip the coin, surprise people to the upside, and you need to start with not thinking yourself as small. And don't always, of course, talk about your track record, your performance. I talk about my BlackRock experience all the time, but it's also about Asian emerging as a family office landscape, becoming more powerful in terms of the investment, and that is the future. So don't just talk about performance, start talking potential.
Yeah, I love that. I strongly agree. And over the years, and I feel like before, when I walk into the room, I would worry people see me as a young person, doesn't know stuff, or don't take me serious. But over the years, even this, sometimes this stereotype still exists, but I would say if people think I'm young and I just, maybe sometimes they would consider me just fresh out of college, I appreciate that, right? But still, if they think that way, but they still talk to me and then they still want to make a connection, this type of person is a keeper. So over the years, that's how I navigate the social circle, because these sincere people, they talk to you without like a second agenda or thinking, oh, this person look like successful, so I might gain something from them. So I also think sometimes you never know. And just like Danye said, talk about your potential, talk about your performance as like a track record to back up for everything you just said. And every time I listen to her talk, I always feel like very pumped up. Like, okay, I got so many energy, so much energy.
I guess I'm a good cheerleader, right?
Yes,
yeah.
exactly.
You're a cheerleader for yourself, you're a cheerleader for your community.
And also, I also do want to ask, so back to Yale, like, how did you know what kind of major and what kind of career you want to pick?
They say personality to some extent determine fate. 性格决定命运, right? So I guess what I'm trying to say is that I actually went through this pivotal moment because both my parents are academics, especially my father being an aeronautical engineering professor, so very intense. So originally my dream school is go to MIT and study engineering. Thanks God I did not get there. I'm probably going to be miserable because there are so many people with great talent. And it's almost like I'm comparing my kind of shortcomings to people's advantages, and you never want to be in that position. But I did try to pursue like a science or even an engineering track during my freshman year at Yale. And I had this miserable moment when I took a computer science class. It was like one of the last assignments. The first couple was all good. The last assignment, I put an all-nighter, and I had to debug like basically entire programming, and I was really stuck. And I kept thinking I would rather be spending time talking with people than talking with a machine. That is my own thinking at the time. And every time when I think about my career journey and choices in life, I kind of go back to that moment. And that's my personality. I enjoy dealing with people, and that's how I want to spend my time. Be it about a client-facing role in corporate America, being about being an entrepreneur, but dealing with career development for international talents, and now working with family offices, the people element and the trust is all very important. And I think I'm decently good at that, and I want to really hone in on that. It's always about building your advantages and to make it so good that you're really going to own that space, at least has the potential to own that space, right? So I do think personality plays a role. Some people are naturally good at deep thinking. They're probably going to become amazing subject specialist, sector specialist. I turns out more want to be a generalist, where I can cover a variety of different subjects, a whole holistic way of looking at things. But that has become my advantage, and I'm aspired to do more in that direction. So I chose social science, so economics and international studies, because I love cross-border stuff.
So you think personality is very important to decide a woman or man's whole life?
Well, if we take a step back, I think there are three things that are important. One, what you like in terms of because passion drives how we really spend our time. So what you like is important. And the second is what you're good at. But what you're good at may not be an overlap, or at least for most people, it's not a perfect overlap to what you like. So you need to find the intersection. If you like basketball, but you're not good at playing basketball, but you're very good at analytics, you could work for MBA, but in an analytics role or strategy role, as an example, okay? So those are two. And the final piece is what the society actually need. 10, 15 years ago, a lot of people want to go into investment banking consulting.
Yes.
Maybe 5 years ago, a lot of people want to go into tech or even crypto, and now it's all AI. So the society keeps moving. And how you can really ask yourself the hard question to understand who you are as a person, where you're good at, and what you want to do, combined with the direction of the society, what is needed, then you can craft an amazing career for yourself. Whether you choose to do that in corporate America and try to climb up the ladder to achieve an executive role versus being an entrepreneur is two very different paths. But either way, you got to hone in about those three things I was talking about.